I remember like it was yesterday. My wife called me out of the blue randomly. I mean, she was like, baby, this is just a random question, but have you ever like done anything that you feel like you should tell me? But it hit me right there. I was like, oh boy, like this is the time. I told her right away. I was like, baby, yeah. So as soon as you're done showering, I want to talk to you. And then that's when I first started telling her about what I have done.
So I remember on the wedding day, the day was so beautiful. The weather was marvelous. The birds were singing. We got married outside, and there was like these fake doors outside, and I was right behind it. And right before it opened, I was like, okay, God, I invited you here. Show me that you're here. I need to know that you're walking in with me. And at that moment, I felt this gush of wind just come across me. It really surrounded me like a hug, and that's when I really felt that like God is here, and he is in this. He cares about my story, he cares about our marriage, and he's happy to be here. And that day was so beautiful.
We are always a people person. One thing that we believe that is to always keep our house open to people, to invite people in and do life with them. And that's exactly how our marriage looked like for the first 2 years of our life, right?
I mean, it was so exciting, and it was so flourishing, you know, having prayer times like just by ourselves at home, or having people come over and do worship nights. And it felt really, really good. And within that 2 years, right at the beginning of 2019, that's when I found out that I was pregnant.
In preparation, of course, like knowing that a beautiful wife is pregnant, like now I really started thinking for the first time, but where are we financially? Like, am I working hard enough? Am I doing enough hours? So that's when I first shifted my way of doing just naturally, I guess, of doing life. Going from setting up the position of like what we had before, which it was like God, family, work, and so on, to literally putting work in the first place.
I feel like this is just part of life, you know. There's a child that's coming, and I think I'm so focused on my pregnancy and the questions that I have internally. Am I going to be a good mom? And like, what are the things that I need to change? And so I think we really got into that season where we're both starting to feel feelings and go through things, but we're not sharing that with each other.
So I was really going through this depression period of my life, which I felt like it got very dark. But the worst part of it all is that I was doing it all by myself. When I didn't have other people around, at least I had my wife. But now I'm at this point where I'm doing all of this.
Yeah.
And I didn't have people, and I also didn't have my wife.
Yeah.
And I didn't have my best friends.
I think I missed that opportunity too, that like you were trying to open up to me about something that you were going through, but life has just happened so much that I was just more like self-defense mode and trying to be like, this is my best friend.
I remember I went out on a boys trip, and then it just tended to the equation of what was happening in my life, plus the opportunity that it showed up to me. And that was a very hard moment, cheating on my wife. But the moment after it happened, like after I came back into reality, going back into my home, that's when pretty much I went to a different level of depression, where I just completely took out everybody away from my life. Ever since I could remember in our relationship, like one thing that I was never able to do is lie. That's just something, because we had this relationship like of best friends. It felt like everyday thing, like, okay, I'm gonna tell my wife. But for some reason that day was never able to get there. I felt like God really spoke to me after a long, long time. After just praying about a bunch of things, I said, Lord, if Suyanne ever asks me about anything that it might be even close to the idea of what I've done, or whatever it may be, I will waste no time, and I'm gonna just tell her right there.
When he told me, my heart it broke into like a million pieces. And I felt really hurt at the moment. Like, I felt like Phill hurt me. In my head, I'm talking to God. I'm like, I'm really angry at you now, God. But I I knew that like I couldn't allow my feelings at the moment to shape any decision that I made, either whatever decision will look like in our relationship or even my relationship with God. And so at that moment I was like, I need time.
I really knew that if she wanted to leave me right then and there, I had to accept the fact that it was like, yes, you have the authority given by God because of what I've done, for you to leave me. But I still chose to tell her.
I knew that God would heal him and me, even if I decided not to stay. And with that, I also knew that he could heal if I decided to stay. And it would be hard whichever direction I would go, but at that moment I'm like, I really just need to choose the kind of heart. And I have a family to think about. I have my son. And above all, I do have this man here that I truly do love. And so that's when I decided to try. I was scared, I was petrified, and I decided I'm gonna try.
I knew that if she had chosen to stay, that I was going to do anything possible for me to make this work, for me to work on myself. So I knew it wasn't gonna be easy, but I was willing to do whatever I had to do. So one of the first things that actually what we did is sit down with our pastors. But I didn't really add something that was very important into my life, which is community. Allow it to bring the community back into our life. It really shed a light on all of these seeds that I put into my life earlier on, that it grew and it had full root. And that was very freeing for me because it was really helping me just find these roots and really pull that out. I got my shovel and like other people got their shovel and like we're digging this thing out, you know, and I'm so thankful for that. That's actually one of the best decisions that I've made that was really freeing to me, was allowing other people that love me, that care for me, to be a part of this fight with me. After a few years of healing, we've been serving for 2 years now at the church that we love, that we call home, and now just being a part of a beautiful community that's continued to build.
I think our relationship with the Lord is even better. We had our second kid, now we have 2 boys. Our family, we're so intentional with like family time, but we wouldn't have achieved this if we didn't allow God to do the mending.
If you just add God into the equation, like he could do it for you. Like if he did it for me in our marriage, our family, he could do it for you too.